Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We are going to talk about 3 tips to buying your first rental property.
We're so excited that all of you were able to join this live webinar today. We're very excited to teach you what we have learned and it has changed our lives about real estate investing.
So first, to introduce ourselves, my name is Lauren Zaminsky. I'm a real estate investor, entrepreneur, author, and a coach for the real estate program Mindshift to Millions.
And I'm Lindsay Duguay. I am an active real estate investor with my husband, Michael. I'm an author with Lauren for 3 books, also a coach and mentor to Mindshift to Millions. I'm an actively practicing emergency medicine physician and a regional director for a hospital system in Pennsylvania.
So let's start out. Raise your hand. Who here has a pre-tax retirement account, a 401k, IRA, something to that effect? Well, for these accounts, it is important to know that you are in partnership with the government, and you are the limited partner. And what that means is you have no idea what the tax rates are going to be when you go to retire. So that's very important to understand that you may think you have X amount in the account, but if tax rates go up, which many believe they will, you're going to have a diminished amount of income from those accounts.
You're also not in charge of any of those stocks either. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You're just putting your money into it and hoping for the best.
Right. And for those of you on here who have children, how many of you have a 529 account? Both Lindsay and I do. And we've contributed to it, but we look at real estate as our plan because by 2036, it's estimated that the cost of a 4-year university at a private school will be 303,000, and at a public school, 184,000. And both of Lindsay and I have young children, so these numbers are very real. She has 3 and I have 2, so these are big numbers.
A lot of money. Yeah.
So we're looking at the value in these accounts, in these 401ks, in these 529s, and looking at the current rate of inflation. Will you have enough? And that's why we're here today. We are here because Lindsay and I looked at these accounts with our husbands and we said, there's not going to be enough. We've got to do something different.
Not just for students and your kids, but just life in general. I mean, we're all feeling the effects of inflation just over the last couple of years. Prices of things are unlikely to go down over the long run. So you need to be looking ahead and thinking about how will I be able to pay things in the future without working more and more and more.
Right. That's the key, without working more and more and more. Because many of us feel like we're running on a financial treadmill, trading our time for money. It's only so scalable, and there's only so many hours you can work. So with the expectations for the future and with the financial costs of everything we have to do today, a lot of us feel like we're running on a treadmill. Like, yeah, we're getting that raise, but you know also great, I got a 5% raise. Well, the cost of everything went up 5% as well. So I feel like we're running on a treadmill, and so that's a
It's the rat
really—
race.
yes, the rat race, exactly.
A lot of people, if they get that raise or the bigger paycheck, then they move up to a bigger house and their expenses keep getting bigger.
Yeah, and that's the lifestyle creep, right? That's how a lot of people feel like we're on a treadmill as well. Is once we reach a certain place in our career, we feel like, okay, let's go ahead and have my lifestyle reflect that, and then come the expensive cars and the big house, and again, that treadmill feels very real.
You can't get off.
And I want to tell you a personal story about me because this really was the driving factor for me to start investing in real estate. My parents were wonderful parents, but were not people who ever invested for passive income. They very much followed the paradigm that most of us followed: is work hard, contribute to a retirement account, put money in brokerage accounts, and just keep building those piles of money in these accounts big enough so that at some point you can retire. And that's what my parents did. And at 70 years old, after pushing, pushing, pushing to build that pile bigger and bigger, they finally retired. And my mom got sick, terminally ill, 6 months into the start of her retirement, and passed away soon after, with piles of money in these retirement accounts and brokerage accounts that were untouched. And that really was the driving force for me to realize, oh my God, my husband and I are on that same path. We were on the same path where we're working, contributing to retirement accounts, brokerage accounts. We had no passive income at the time. And we were really, really, kind of what we felt to be on the right path. And then my mother passed away in this horrific way so quickly. And we said, we've got to find a better way.
So often people are looking down the tunnel. They're thinking, "Oh, well, after my kids go to college, then I can slow down, or after I retire and I have this money in my account, then I can slow down." But not everybody is promised the next day. I'm an ER physician. Every single day on my shifts at work, I see people that come in and their lives are changed out of nowhere, whether it's a new cancer diagnosis or an accident, and you don't get to enjoy the fruits of all that hard labor later in life. So I like to, and Lauren likes to teach people, how can you get and buy some of your time back now so you don't have to wait until retirement.
So as we've said, this old paradigm doesn't work. With the rising cost of inflation or the rising inflation rates, the old paradigm won't get you to where you want to go. So working hard, grinding for 40 plus years, save and invest in 401ks, brokerage accounts, with the value of the dollar declining at the rapid pace that it is, these won't work. God knows when Lindsay and I hit 65, what it will cost for a loaf of bread. I can't even imagine. So I'm in Los Angeles, and at this point, it's $6. So I can only
We
imagine
can
where.
learn how to make our own sourdough bread. Everybody's doing that now. So
Or you can just start making your own food. But you must build passive income sources where your income is coming into your home outside of you trading your time. That's the only way to really get ahead of what's happening with inflation.
and this is where real estate enters. We, Lauren and I, use real estate as our vehicle for passive income. Together, Lauren and I, we've been investing for my husband and I 6 years now. Lauren, just about the same amount of time. And together, we own over 1,000 units across the United States.
So here's the question: when can I retire? And when can you retire? And so many people think about retirement as, oh, well, when I'm 65, I can retire. Or, now the Social Security age is 67. So I guess that's when I can retire. And so many people think with that paradigm. But the reality is, you can retire the moment your passive income exceeds your living expenses. That's when you are officially no longer uh, reliant on trading your time. And so Lindsay and I talk about this frequently. We think of every real estate investment we make as in terms of real estate assets purchased as a day we are buying back where we don't have to work. And that's really the way we think of it.
When you're making money in your sleep and it's paying for your mortgage, your cell phone bills, your insurance, that is when you are financially free, when that passive income is greater than your expenses. And that's our ultimate goal. It's what Lauren and I have been able to do through real estate investing, and it's what we can help you do as well. It is real.
And in the next video, we're going to show a video that actually Lindsay made when she was leaving a shift at the hospital, explaining why she trades her time now so that she can buy her time back in the future.
So I'm just leaving work now after another overnight shift in the hospital. So what I just did is traded my time for money. Your W-2, you have to go to work to get a salary. Your W-2 is an active job. If I don't come in for a shift, I'm not going to get paid. If I'm not seeing patients or if I get hurt, I'm not going to get a salary. So I'm dependent on this income right now. The reason I started to get into real estate investing is so I could have more of a passive income. My rental properties are making me money whether I am working with them or not. To get rich, you have to be making money while you sleep. Warren Buffett said having money makes you rich, but having time actually makes you wealthy. And the more properties I'm buying, the more passive income I'm having. This is giving me more freedom of choice to work when I want to. I've worked way too hard to be a physician to give it up completely, but I like to have the power to choose when I can work and spend more time with my family, working on hobbies, volunteering. So that's really why. So that clip is a throwback. That clip was made during COVID several years ago. I was working very, very hard, still work hard, but in different aspects now, really grinding away, doing night shifts. Since then, Michael and I are financially free from our real estate, which means, again, our passive income is greater than our living expenses. I still work as a physician. As I said in that video years ago, I am financially free, but I still work. I love what I do. I am the medical director. I'm helping to change policies and everything at the hospital now. But I have such a weight lifted off my shoulders because I can do it because I want to, not because I have to. I don't have to go trade my time for money anymore, which is so freeing and liberating. And it's just a great feeling. When you get there, I can't even explain how good that feeling is.
The transformation is shown here in the pictures from her being a doctor to her being in front of her real estate and then being able to spend that time with her family. And
We take our
I'm
kids along on the real estate journey too. That one picture with me and my three kids, that's a 8 unit that we made as a small joint venture with a couple partners that I found during a direct mail campaign. And we bring our kids to closing, especially my oldest, the 7 year old. He comes, he sees us with the lawyers and the buyers and, or the sellers, I should say. He sees us signing the paperwork. He sees us take these houses, gut them, and then renovate them. And I love having them along for the process too. So now we get into the topic of this webinar. How do I get started buying real estate? So we're going to talk about 3 tips for investing in your very first rental property. And maybe some of you on this call already have a rental property or two and you're looking to scale. You can use some of these same principles as you're scaling your portfolio up. So number one, determine your strategy. Do you want to be active? My husband and I are very active in a lot of the deals that we do. We find them, we renovate them, we get the tenants in. We're doing a lot of that active business versus passive. Do you really enjoy your W 2 and you want to grow your passive income streams and the money that's coming in every month, but you don't want to get into the dirty nitty gritty of it? You don't want to deal with tenants and those phone calls and the toilet calls late at night. You can still be a real estate investor passively. So that's one of the first things you need to think about. Determine the location. Lauren lives in California. It's very, very expensive there. It does not make sense number wise for her to invest in California anymore, but she's very successful with other partners out of state investing. So there's this saying, you can live where you want, but invest where the numbers make sense. So pick a location and we can help guide you through that as well. And number 3, decide on your rehab strategy. There's value add, there's turnkey, and we'll get into that as well.
So getting into active versus passive real estate. I actually didn't even know passive real estate existed when I first started. I thought I needed to fly all over the country, and I did. I spent a lot of money flying all over the country to try to set up teams in different areas because again, I live in California and I can't invest where I live successfully. So there's active, as we said here, you buy your own properties, you're managing your own properties, you're dealing with a lot of the phone calls, and then there's the passive side, which is syndications, funds, private lending, REITs. That's the more passive side. So you really have to decide. Tip one, decide if you want to be active versus passive. Both Lindsay and I have both types of investments. So it's not an either or situation, but as you get started, it's important to understand, which side you think you have the capacity for.
Depending where you're at with your career and your family, you can blend this. Maybe one year you just want to do passive, then you want to do active the next year. Again, Lauren and I do both. We are very active. We do passive investments and then we blend them into joint ventures as well with other partners where we each have different levels of active roles.
Tip two, determining a location. Can you profitably invest where you live? I wish I could profitably invest where I live. I would love that. But I can't. And this is an example. An 8 unit apartment building in Los Angeles is 3.2 million, 400,000 a door. And in Pennsylvania, Lindsay, you want to share?
Yeah, so this is a real 8 unit. Actually, that picture where me and my three kids were, this is that 8 unit building. And we successfully bought, and this is one of our newer acquisitions in March of 2024, this 8 unit building. I had sent out a direct mail letter, and we can talk about that more and if you join us. But we got this building for $600,000, so that's $75,000 a door. So $600,000 for an 8 unit versus 3.2 million. Guess which cash flow is a lot more? And cash flow means what money are you getting at the end of the day after you pay everything off? Similar to passive income is greater than your active expenses.
You want to be, if you want passive income and you want to be financially free, you need these properties to cash flow. In places like California, many parts of California, Los Angeles included, you just can't get the cash flow.
Michael and I, our primary home is in Pennsylvania. We have a lot of investment properties around Pennsylvania because you can get them for relatively cheaper than other parts of the country, and they do cash flow very well when they're managed right.
So more on determining a location. If you're trying to decide, gosh, I'm not really sure, you want to find landlord friendly places, population growth, business friendly. Diversification of jobs. You don't want more than 20% of jobs in an area attributable to one industry. And you think about Detroit, for example, and how dependent it was on the auto industry. And when the auto industry got hit hard, Detroit got hit hard, and it still hasn't come back to where it was.
There's some
And then
areas in Pennsylvania where the coal mining industry was really big, and that crashed. That was the only real source of income at the time, and these towns went into really pretty much disarray. And Michael and I got some of our first properties for very cheap in those towns because of that. And luckily, the renovation and the growth is coming back in the area, but. You don't want to gamble like that, especially when you're starting out. I would suggest, looking for diversification of jobs.
And then schools, if you're buying, let's say, single family homes or properties, 3 bedrooms, you want to check out the schools. How highly rated are the schools? We, even for some of our rentals, I have some rentals in areas with lower rated schools, and we do see the income be very different than the areas that have better rated schools. So keep that in mind. And then the crime rate, that's always a thing too. And not only for your tenants, but also for you, what you're going to be dealing with. So you want to choose areas with relatively low crime rates.
Usually lower crime, better schools. You might pay a little bit more for the rental properties, but you'll also get in general higher rents. And sometimes the quality of tenants will be better too. And it's a little bit less stress, especially if you're taking that active role.
So, on a quick napkin math, always think about the 1% rule. You want monthly income to be 1% of the purchase price. So, if the property is $300,000, you want the rental income to be about $3,000 a month. It's very napkin math, but if you're just quickly thinking about, I don't know, could I invest where I live? Check out if your area abides by the 1% rule.
Tip three, rehab strategies. So Michael and I, we very actively rehab many of our properties, but there's different levels and varying degrees again that you can get into with this. So for active real estate investing, if you don't want to do any renovations yourself, sometimes investors will come in, do all the renovations themselves, and then sell it as a turnkey property to a new buyer. The pros of this is easy. There's fewer surprises. It's already renovated. It's already rent ready. You don't have to go through all that CapEx, capital expenditure to make this nice. You don't have to put on the new roofs and all that kind of stuff. The cons, usually 20 to 25% down is required every single time you purchase this, and it's going to cost more in general because it is a nicer property that's already renovated. Then the other strategy, there's renovation projects or AKA value add. So everybody has, their pros and cons of why they like to do this. Michael and I tend to like to do these renovation projects because we like to force the value of the property. We like to know what we're putting in, and knowing that there's not surprises. We're the ones doing the renovation, so we know what's going into it. The pros, you can really force appreciation through these remodels. You can get higher velocity of capital. Again, Lauren mentioned and I mentioned that we do both passive investing and we do active investing. The passive investing with these syndication deals that we're sponsors on, or some of the ones that I'm just an LP on, they tend to be a little bit safer, but the returns tend to be a little bit lower because of that. Versus these big value add projects like Michael and I do. We got that 8 unit, it needed a complete gut job. We took everything out down to the studs. We've had it for 10 months now, and we are going to get 100% of our money back when we go back to refinance this in a month. So we're turning our capital around very quickly, but it's very risky. There were a lot of surprises that we found through that process. A lot of people don't like that. It's not for everybody, that's for sure. And then there's furnished rentals that you can do as well. So the pros, the cash flow tends to be higher. So these are like the short-term rentals, the STRs that you see a lot of people do. The cons, these can be very time consuming to manage. They cost more upfront between the down payment and the furnishing. Michael and I have some STRs as well. And we do something called arbitrage, which is much more in depth that we get into in our course. But basically, you're going to have to be managing these more closely because the tenants, they might only be tenants, the people that are coming to rent your properties, they might only be there for a night. They might only be there for a weekend. So that you have to go in and turn these properties a lot faster versus the long-term rentals, which tend to be a year or more.
So now we will break down just one page on each of these. So as Lindsay just explained, turnkey is when you don't have to do a lot of work to the property. You're buying it. My first couple of rentals were like this. This is one of them actually. I bought it. I was very nervous, but I knew it would cash flow, and all the numbers made sense. So I bought it. It didn't require a big rehab. It was relatively recently built, but I bought it, and it cash flowed, $400 a month, and I was pleased. And so it's important to understand, where your risk appetite is. And for me, turnkey new build was the way I wanted to start.
And strategy number two, renovation, aka the value add. This is a real building that Michael and I bought. We still own it. It's one of our cash cow properties. It's a 10 unit here in Pennsylvania. So the strategy with this value add, again, this requires renovation prior to tenants moving in. It's the BRRRR strategy. It's buying it, it's rehabbing it, renovating it, renting it, and then repeating refinancing it to pull your money out and repeating the process. Renovations, I mean, this thing, again, you can see the bottom picture. This was down to the studs. There was no flooring. There was no plumbing that was working. We had some electrical that was strung up along the ceilings, but this took a lot of work. It was new everything. After a remodel like this, you really improve the value of the property so greatly that you can then go back to the bank, or if you bought it cash, because that can be one of the ways that you can do these properties. You go back to the bank, and now that you've put all of this money into it, the value of the building has gone up, and ideally you refinance and get 100% of your money back. What's great about that is the refinance, it's not taxed. So now you have all this money back. You can buy another property and you can do it again. It's a velocity of capital while you still own the building and you're still getting cash flow every month. It's called infinite returns. You are literally printing money. Like, this is real life. This is what my husband and I do every single day. Every time I talk about it, I get so excited, because this is really, really how you can make your money work fast and grow your portfolio. With this particular 10 unit property, Michael and I bought it within 16 months. We had renovated the entire property and we pulled out 275% of our money. Michael and I got a refinance check for $301,000 on this property. I literally sat in my
Tax
husband's
free.
truck. Yeah, it's crazy. But it's a very, God, strike me down true story. That we got $301,000 check. I remember sitting in my husband's truck, which is a business expense and paid for our business, and I was literally crying, thinking this is more money that I've made take home from my physician after tax salary, and we made it in 16 months, and we still own the building. It's still cash flowing, and then we re-injected it into other properties. So again, value add, it's a lot riskier, as you can see from the pictures, but you can really roll your money faster when it's done correctly.
And the third strategy is furnished rentals. You can buy a property, you can furnish it, and then you can rent it out. Normally, you're going to be renting it out. Most people who do this are running out for short-term rentals, but you've got to account for higher vacancy rate when you do that. But you can do short-term rentals, mid-term rentals, which is like 3 or 4 month rentals, and then long-term rentals. You can rent, the occupancy can vary depending on what your appetite is, but furnished rentals is a very common way that a lot of people kind of get into the game as well.
And we have all combinations of these too. And again, they all have pluses, minuses, risks, benefits, pros, and cons. But we get into all of this in our course.
So the big thing that Lindsay and I want to, reiterate is don't wait. The best time to buy real estate was 20 years ago. We all wish we were doing it. The second best time is right now, and make this the year that you buy your first rental property.
Time is going to pass no matter what. Like, a year is going to come for everybody, God willing, right? In a year, you can do nothing to learn and better yourself, and you'll still be in the same situation, which is what many people do, and their life circumstances don't change, and they keep grinding and grinding, trading their time for money. Or you can take action, you can start learning, and you can start doing and really change your life, the life of your family, and if done well, generational wealth too, which is really what Lauren and I want to do. So start now, learn now. You are not going to regret what you're doing for yourself and your family in a year from now.
So you may be asking, where do I start? This is a lot, and
It is a lot.
we know it is.
Yeah.
It's something that Lindsay and I are so dedicated to sharing and teaching because it's transformed our lives, and we know it will transform yours. So we offer a self-guided online course. We have a course that's 6 modules, and it walks you through step by step. Not only will it starts from the basics, investor mindset, fundamentals of financial literacy. And trust me, before I, learned everything I now know, I thought I was very financially literate. And then as I dove in and, have, transformed our financial lives, now it's even more palpable how important that baseline foundation is. So the course will go into that, and then it will give us step by step on how to buy a single family home, how to buy a multifamily real estate if that's something that you want. If you want to invest passively, how to do that. And then we will give you the action steps of how to buy your first rental in 120 days. And on top of that, with the course, as part of the package, you will get Facebook Messenger access to Lindsay and I. You will be able to message us with questions as you go through the process and the research of finding properties, getting financing, choosing locations. You will have access to us over Facebook Messenger, and you will be able to message us and get feedback in real time as you have questions arise. And then
And
you
you should
also
have lots of questions. I did not have a mentor or any guidance when Michael and I first started, and we talk about it in the course. A lot of the mistakes we made that were so preventable had we actually had the knowledge before we just started going for it ourselves.
Right, right. I wasted about $10,000 trying to do it all on my own without a mentor and without any coaching
I
before
wish it
I
was just
finally,
10,000 we wasted.
yeah. And then on top of that, you will get a copy of one of Lindsay and I's books. That comes as part of your purchase of the online course package. And normally it's $1,495 for this package, but if you are watching this webinar now on this video, you can get it for 1,000. And then each month, we also do an 8-week guided study program. And we are incredibly proud of this program. We have an 88% success rate for this program of people who have gone through this program, and they have learned. And what this program includes is, it not only does it include our our online course and everything from that online course package you just saw, but it also includes 1 day per week where we get on a group call like this, and we walk through not only the content of the online course module, but also give step-by-step feedback of how they can be actionable with this program. And this model has been incredibly successful. Lindsay and I are so excited about the transformations that our students have had who have gone through this program. And now,
We love our weekly calls getting on. We're the students are bringing us deals. We're underwriting with them. We've had students fly and drive to Pennsylvania, and we've gone to properties to look at it. I mean, we're above and beyond. We're just so passionate and excited, and we want our students to succeed because you're changing your life, and this is what we're here for.
and as part of the program, I even when the program ended, I was still on the phone with some of our
Yeah.
students who were closing properties and
Yeah.
asking questions, and it really, we love this 8-week guided study program because it allows us to create this personal relationship with our students that we know are going to last far beyond the 8-week program. So meet Zan. Zan joined our 8-week guided study program, and before we even finished the 8 weeks, he had purchased a fourplex in Texas. We were so amazed and proud of him of how he just immediately dove in. He
Took
decided
action.
once he invested in our 8-week guided study, he was going to do this. And most of our students do it within 120 days of starting the course, but Zen's the overachiever, and he did it right away.
And we have Jose too, another one of our students. Within 120 days, again, of joining our program, he closed on a fourplex in Pennsylvania. This is one actually he was able to go out with my husband and see as well, giving him really good pointers and guidance. What Zan said, there are no words to express the gratitude I have toward you both. I appreciate the time you have given all of us, and above all, sharing your wisdom. You guys are huge inspirations and have served as building blocks to help achieve my ultimate goal of spending the most amount of time with my family. It's just so sweet and heartwarming.
It was the best to see
Yeah.
that. And then meet Junko. Within 120 days of joining our course, she invested in 2 passive real estate syndications. So she knew she wanted to get in. She does want to be active as well, but she was ready to just start, and she invested in a 144 unit and a 60 unit apartment buildings.
These are just a couple. We have video testimonials of other students and everything on our course, but we are real. The course is real. The action steps and the outcomes that you can achieve with this course, they are real. They are life changing. And I strongly encourage you guys to take action today and start changing your life now.
Yeah, we truly can't wait to help you build your rental portfolio and help you transform you and your family's financial future. And we'll leave you with the quote: "The best investment on earth is earth."
They're not making any more of it, so get the real estate.